Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. We have a very interesting playthrough for everybody today. We are playing The Beginner's Guide. Now this is a game that came out a while back and I was thinking about it and I really wanted to do another playthrough of this game because I actually watched a playthrough of this game 7 years ago. So it came out in 2015. I remember watching Sean, aka Jacksepticeye's playthrough of this game. And I was 12 years old at the time, which is just wild to think about. So we're going to get into it. This game is very interesting. I'm going to do all of it in one take. So I think it's about an hour to 2 hours long. So come along, join me for the ride, grab something good to eat, a good snack, a good drink, settle down, and let's get started. Here we go. Yep, got my headphones on. Standard controls, WASD with the click. Nothing crazy there.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Wreden. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
All right. Interesting intro there. So, as you heard, we're going to be diving into the world of Coda's games, and we'll see what happens. Here we go.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift to structure imminent.
Oh God. We gotta
This
go.
game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda. You can click to fire the gun.
Security code breached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
Gotta shoot the gun.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
Does have some pretty tense background music, though.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this row.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Nice. Oh gee, it's not a maze. I don't like mazes.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's
Yeah.
really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
No, thanks, boss. You're a homie for that. Alright, let's go.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper Machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Whoa. That's the ultimate sacrifice. Well, we can't leave, right? Nope. I guess the only thing we have to do is jump in.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Alright, here we go. Second time. Whoop. Whoa. Huh. Wow. Look at that.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
Alrighty. So, I don't know, to get my quick thoughts on that one, that was an interesting level by him. I'm a little skeptical about the narrator reading too much into, you know, kind of Coda's intentions and how he's, like, what he's taking away from the games, but I guess we'll keep going.
So try
and we'll find
walking
out what he thinks.
backwards.
Oh, backwards, okay. Well, we go
Yep.
backwards.
In this game, you can only walk backwards.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. That's a bit tricky. Let me make sure we're going in the right direction here. Also, quickly turn this mouse sensitivity down just a tad. Alrighty, that's much better. Oh,
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
alrighty. Oh, wow. Why does the future keep changing? It's a good question. Is is there anywhere I have to go? Oh, here we go. There's something over here, right? Yeah. Alright, let's go this way. Oh, okay. When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. Ah, gotcha. So it's a very stop and go. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Sure, yeah, that one was interesting. Alrighty, wow, it's a bit creepy. Audio design in this game is also pretty good, especially for kind of like passion games like this. So, alrighty, let's venture into the dark. You are now entering. It's a spooky sign.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Wow.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Alright, I assume we have to go up these stairs, but let's see if we can find anything else here. Maybe there's something behind this block.
I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
Ah, this man thought of everything. Alrighty, let's go up these stairs. That's funny, actually. Let's see what Coda's got in store for us up here. We're slowing down. Oh, come on, you can do it. No, I don't think we're gonna reach the top.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
I don't know if I agree with him. I am pressing. Oh, enter here. Enter. I don't know if I agree with him modifying the game. I feel like that kind of takes away from its overall point. You know, because what if part of the journey was waiting to get all the way up here? But okay. Let's see what this room has got for us. Oh, okay. What? You construct the wall destroyed, and you are giving a medal. Sharks are trying.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Ah, okay, so these are game ideas. Interesting. Let's look at a couple of them.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
You walk around talking people down from pursuing their hopes and dreams. Wow. It's a shame we didn't get to read more of those. Coda definitely sounds like an interesting individual, for sure. His games definitely, so far, not very, I feel like they definitely have more behind them than what just meets the eye.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Alrighty, well, we got a switch here. What if I open this and then close it and reset? Oh, fire! Let's go.
don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Okay, that's fine. Not the most intricate puzzle of all time, but it's okay.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve the puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. All right,
Sure.
now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Alrighty, let's see what happens. Whoa. What? This is
How about that?
crazy.
There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Well, I think it's to experience. You can experience something without necessarily understanding everything. Oh, and we're back in the spooky level? Okay. And the sound design in these games, it's pretty good. Now we're exiting, okay, so we entered and now we're leaving.
Aha! So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say. The Great and Lovely Descent. Oh, wow, okay. But like I was saying, I don't know if it's necessarily a given that all of his games are interconnected. Maybe some of them are, maybe some of them are just kind of their own thing. So, interesting thought, though. Okay,
Let's talk about video game development for a second.
Sure.
Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
It's a nice looking cafe.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Okay, guess that's fair to say. Is there anywhere we have to... Oh, wow, okay, here we go. Let's see if there's anything else over here. Can we open this door? No. Alrighty, let's venture down. Wow, okay. That's a switch. Jeez. Let's check it out. Can we jump? Oh, perfect. Whoa. These games are definitely very interesting. Oh, I fell. Well, I guess that's a good thing. Can I just fall all the way down? I don't see why not. Yeah. Alright, take the easy way. Oh, wow, let's take a look at that. Interesting. That's not creepy. Whoa. Oh, okay. Guess we're guess. Huh. Whoa. Nope, guess we're not walking inside, we're going up.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
A full hour. Wow. Yeah, I appreciate that. I don't want to sit here a whole hour.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else.
Huh.
Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
That's interesting. But on that point, you know, especially if these games are more of an artistic reflection instead of with the goal of being playable, I don't think games necessarily have to be playable. You know, the artist has to be able to leave some interpretation up to himself, and it's almost like not revealing his secret, but in that way it makes the game far more interesting and a much better reflection of the artist's mental space as a whole. So, in terms of the game being playable or not, I don't think that's necessarily true, because the artist is the one putting in the work, and he's the one that ultimately gets to decide how much of this world that he wants to show the player. It's like an author writing a book. They're not always going to see every single draft of the book that went in, and the author only lets the readers read what the author wants them to read. It's the same with the game.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
Alrighty. We know it this time, so that's good. Ooh, nice. What? It's not opening. You're supposed to...
There's still no clear indication
Sorry.
of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
There, did you come from above?
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Alright, so, yes, there was a world stamped with whiteness. That's 1. 2 is, yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. And 3, there were these floating, colored blocks. I'm gonna go with 3. That's the world above. You've been there. Now this is important. Did you have to get through the puzzle with the 2 doors and switches? Yes, I did. That was literally the last thing I did before coming here. It was 1. 2, no, I don't remember having to go through any puzzle. And 3 is, I prefer not to tell you. After all, we've only just met. I'm gonna go with 1. Perfect. Now tell us, how did you solve it? Tell us the solution. Tell us how to get to the other side. I don't remember how I solved it. I'm just trying to remember, but I can't. I didn't solve it. Someone let me in. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. Let's go with 3. I know, but I do. We do. We need to get over there. Do you understand? It is the most important thing in the world. We have to escape this prison. There must be an ending. I promise you, there's nothing I want more. Well, I'm sorry. I couldn't help you guys. On their head. It's a bit unsettling. It's a oven. are again. Hello, how did you get here? What was the puzzle you had to pass through? Yes, do you want to know how to solve it? Or 2, no. I've been right here this entire time. Ooh. I'll go with no. I suggest you go and see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be solved, but you can sit in the black space in the middle. What happens if I solve it? Why would I sit in the black space, or who are you? Let's go, what happens if I solve it? Not sure, but if I have any suspicion, what you find wouldn't be worth... Oh, I didn't have to just read it. Oh well. I wonder if the game actually has different endings based on what you choose. I might go back after this and play through it and check. But down the staircase we go.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
This is a long level. Longest one.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Okay. I think I can agree with that interpretation of the light post being kind of something to wrap up a game that's consistent, but I guess we'll find out. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. Interesting. All the notes you see are left by other players. Alrighty, let's see what we have. Yeah, it's definitely, the background music in this game is pretty cool too. I like it. Alright, let's see. Oh, nice room. Nah, jeez, I think it's a pretty nice room.
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually.
How do you beat this game? That's a good question. No point to this. Oh, I don't even know if... Oh, okay, that's a lot of notes. Wow. Alright, let's check these out. Whoa, holy shit. That's what I said. It's definitely a big room. Can you guys hear me? Nope. Sorry. Hello. Hi. Reasonable.
Feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Okay, I mean, I guess that's fair to say.
But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair also interpretation. I don't know. Well, it makes you stop and think just about what kind of a headspace does a person have to be to sit here and write himself hundreds of notes? Like, is the person lonely? Is he just doing this as a mental escape? Is he, I don't know, crying out for help? Or is this just, a way that he writes down his thoughts and what he's thinking? Jumping the gun and thinking that this person is automatically lonely because he makes this game is not... That's funny. It says balls, that's funny. Anyway, jumping the gun and automatically assuming this person is lonely and he's somehow trying to cope with his loneliness by writing himself these notes is not... Do not be afraid to care. Is not, to me personally, that doesn't sound like that instant jump there, but I can see why he could believe that, especially just having met this person. Yeah. So I'm skimming through some of these notes. I can assure you guaranteed that there is an acorn somewhere here in this place and the sailors are looking for it. Alright, so I am probably not going to go through and read all of these notes again. I don't know if I can actually get over there. Hey guys, just looking for someone to talk with. Oh wow, okay. Maybe this person is very lonely. I refuse to believe. But I agree. That's some deep stuff right there. And you go to the frickin' bathroom. Recognize me, please. Wow, some of these notes are definitely... There's nothing here. Go back. Don't listen to that guy. Alright, we'll keep pushing on. Let's see what these notes have. A free t-shirt. Need other side door, why you so? Door now open. Door open sesame. Makes game includes door cannot open door, thanks. Okay. Someday I will meet the person who made this. Wow, okay. These are a lot of notes. I'm gonna have to skip over some of these guys because otherwise we're gonna be sitting here for a very, very long time. Interesting artwork, but again, this is a person writing all of these notes to himself. You can definitely probably go through and read all these, but I think it's not this. I think this is not going anywhere. Okay. It's a bit broken, but we're gonna skip some of these. If you guys want to go through after, there's probably some video on YouTube of someone going through all these and reading them out. So if you're curious, you can probably look for it. But again, I think it's more of the case where these weren't all meant to be read. This is someone's internal thoughts. And we are almost peering into the mind of Coda right now. So it's almost as if you can never fully understand a person. That's how I would interpret this, is all of these thoughts are, to a person, to Coda himself, these are just things he's thinking. But for someone as an outsider peering into his mind and his mental state, it's almost impossible to fully understand and to comprehend without...
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
I've literally been here for an hour, what the fuck? That's a fair question.
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. to grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
Whispering is definitely a bit unsettling. Oh, it's definitely loud, okay. How do you leave notes? That's a great question. Oh, typewriter. Are you there? Please say something. It can be anything. I just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking? Speak, 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 speak.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay, I can do that. It's intense background music, wow. Alrighty, so going here. Wow, the game's definitely, you can see the progression of like him getting better at game development, and you know, lighting and a lot of stuff looks really cool, so you can definitely see him progressing in terms of his skill.
See, like, this is it, the whole game, and there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool, here's version 2.
Some intense music. Oh, where'd the furniture go? I thought you said he reused it. What furniture ought to be in the center of the room? How about a TV with surround sound, a refrigerator, or a giant hole in the ground? Let's put a hole in the ground. That is not a hole in the ground. Okay, now what about along the wall of the room? Honestly, I don't think it would make a difference. Let's try 10 stoves. Yeah, okay, so it won't make a difference. To light up this room, I agree. So let's do a skylight. Alright, that is not a skylight. Add a table, you need a table. Who are you? What exactly are you doing with this room? I'm pretty sure none of my choices are making a difference, or tables were invented in 1935. I think tables were invented beforehand, but let's go. Let's ask the question of who are you? Alright, that doesn't really answer it. Whoa. Jeez.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake.
I guess. It's interesting, though. I've got a little path to follow.
So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Hello, please walk forward. Alright, I can do that. What if I walk this way? Alright, let's go this way. This guide will enable you to escape from any prison environment. Okay, that'd be helpful. Follow the instructions carefully. Take care that you remember each step. Okay, first click on this table. Boom. Good, now go over to the photo frame and click it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off, then turn it back on. Where's the floor lamp? This one, right? Okay. Boom. Boom. Now go to the left side sofa and move it over a little bit. Left side, sofa. Okay. Touch the shelves. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now be open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Okay.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape. Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
Okay, let's check it out. It's pretty dark. We have our lampposts again. And a telephone booth, supposedly? Yeah. Interesting. Alright. Let's call him up. Let's see what happens. Whoa. Okay. Hello, who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. It's the only option I'm given. You're me? Question mark? So you were trapped in this prison too? Yep, I was in the furniture maze, yep.
It's a conversation.
I was in the escape tutorial.
And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
That's where I am right now. Oh, I'm so glad that you know how to get out, eventually. What's it like to escape? Actually, I'm already forgetting what being in the prison was like. Too, it's strange, but in a way I kind of miss being in the prison. Wow, okay, that's how... Wow, or 3. It feels like being completely still and wildly in motion at the same time. Wow. I'll save my thoughts for the end. Do you feel any different? Sometimes I'm scared I'll get out and things will be exactly the same as before. Wow. No, I'm really the same person as I was back then. Or 2, it does eventually change. I don't feel like the same person at all. Let's go with 1. I'm the same person. Oh no, that's awful. That's the worst thing I can imagine. Let's go, or sorry, 1, don't worry, it's actually not a bad thing, I promise. 2, well, you get something else in exchange. Or 3, the problem is that you don't actually know who you are right now. Let's go get something else in exchange. Wait, if you're me, did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? No, I think I'm the first person to call back. And can you tell me how to get out? Maybe I can come find you. What do I have to do? To get out, all you have to do is being sincere. To get out, all you need to tell me how you feel right now, or to get out, just walk with me for a minute. Wow, so this is a person introspecting on themselves within their own little prison, trying to find a way out of the mental spiral that they were in. Let's go with 2. What? That will free me? Listen, you can't know until it works out, but I promise it works. Just tell me how you feel, or it makes sense. Let's go 3. Sorry, it's been my throat. Okay, I feel afraid that nothing will ever change. Go on, go on, go on.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
Oh wow, okay, that's an interesting level.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
Interesting set design. Well, my goodness, I'm glad as heck that you showed up. Thought I might have to clean this entire house by myself, and right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make lousy homes. Sure. Come on, don't worry about me. A place this nice, I'm
You'll
glad to
notice
hear
that the
all night.
quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Wow, okay. And lousy homes make home loners. And 3, we're cleaning this whole place. Let's go, 1. Well, now you just might be getting a little ahead of yourself, no? Why don't we start cleaning and then you decide whether you could do it all night? I'll finish up here. In the meantime, can you please clear the table? Sure. Alright, there we go. Much nicer. That's the table I want to see. Now would you please run to the bedroom and make the bed? Sure. Where's the bedroom? That's the question. Oh, nice bathroom. There we go. Make the bed. Perfect. All nice. While you're in there, why don't you straighten out the rug a bit? Make little details matter. Do you enjoy being a house cleaner? How'd you end up doing this job? It's been a long time since I've housed the house this messy. Let's go. Do you enjoy it? Well, I don't enjoy it as much as I need it. While I'm working, I feel kind of calm and rest the pit of my ribcage. My soul can't be soothed any other way, it seems, which is, I guess, all that matters. Oh, and a tidy couch. Would you straighten up the pillows and the sofa out there? Alrighty. Let's clean up the sofa. Nice. Looks like something spilled the drink on the couch. Maybe mop it up, as long as you're over there. I like this music too, it's peaceful. I feel compelled to share incredibly cheesy personal insight. You okay with that? Sure, make it especially cheesy. No, it was stupid, sorry, never mind. It's a shame. Hey, these dishes need to be washed. Why don't you come to that? Let's wash them up. Last I checked, the tub needed cleaning. How about you scrub it down as best you can? No need to be perfect, we're all just human. Wow, it's true, we all just human. We all make mistakes. And we're all imperfect. Are there still books scattered on the floor of the bedroom? If so, would you please put them back on the shelf? Let's see. Yep, there they are. Let's make them nice and neat. Nice. Perfect. And now how about you come and clear these dishes off the table?
After the intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
So, does it just go on loop with us cleaning everything? And now how about you come clear those dishes off the table? Let's go through if the chores ever end. Darling, let me tell you something. Whatever work you do, you have absolutely got to own it, otherwise it owns you. Wow. So why don't we be with the task at hand and leave the future chores for future you? Present you wants to smooth out the rug.
I know
in the
that
bedroom.
Coda really liked this
Trust me
game.
on this one.
Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
The tub has gone rather dirty. Would you mind tidying it up a bit? almost said I had a really cheesy thought. I was gonna say that it occurs to me that no one's house is a lot like someone's soul. You take care of it, it takes care of you. Huh. Don't know why I felt so weird about saying that. That's very, very true. But, you know, your own personal mind and your own personal well-being is the most important thing. And it reflects a lot in your daily life. It's a career choice is year one. I get it. It's just a weird thing to say to someone you just met. Yeah, you're right. That's pretty cheesy. Or 3. There's a bit of truth in that, no? In it. So, yeah, I'll go with 3. I think there's a lot of truth in it, actually. Anyway, so, housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. Books. Would you please clean up the books? Thanks. Yeah, sure. You can almost see this as like a ritualistic thing, you know? Keeping your soul clean, keeping your house clean are 2 very similar things. You do the little things in life that keep you happy. Just like you do the little things to your house to keep it clean.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
Would you go over there and straighten up a bit? Can't have these folks coming into a messy couch. Sure. Question.
But,
Do you
of
enjoy
course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
That's true. Unfortunately, all good things and all seemingly perfect worlds have to come to an end. Because if you look at it from here, even though that world was seemingly peaceful and fantastic, it was its own little box, its own little jail, almost, like he was alluding to earlier. So, if you find yourself in that constant loop, you will just end up in a prison. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to discover new things and to keep pushing. It's just the unfortunate reality. And there it is, our light post.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it.
Yeah, that's what I interpreted as well.
This one gets a bit goofy.
Items you love at member-only prices. Alrighty. Why did you come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No. Huh. Well, you came here to become perfect. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. Okay? If you want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, person is a better human being than I am. Right now, who do you think about that way in your own life? Who do you know who is so well developed as a person that they make you feel disgusted with yourself? Compared to whom do you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful? I intend to make you that person. Perfection is within your grasp. The question is not how we do it, but how we do it effortlessly. This is easy. This is so easy. It is so easy.
About halfway through the game,
Being
the
perfect
perspective
is
shifts.
Whoa. Jeez.
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Oh, nice. This is the key. How do I achieve with no effort? Well, let me tell you right now, if it isn't effortless, then it's not the right answer. 2, I still love you. It's just that you make me feel cold on the inside. 3, being alone must be awful. 1, thank goodness all of you perceive me as wise and intelligent. Drinking is not hurting my life. Or 3, if you are torturing yourself trying to find the right solutions to your life, you're not doing it right. 1, do you understand that you won't be happy until you love me? This is for you. Wow. Wow. 2, seek out only one thing, what is easiest, simplest path forward. 3, ew, I'm developing this as gross. haha, just kidding. 2, anyone want to do some ecstasy after this? Or 3, there's no truth, there's no path. What if I'm not a good teacher? 2, do what is easiest, do what is simplest, feel what is true. 3, holy shit, you guys, something is coming out of the black room, look out. Out of the back room? Where? Okay. Nothing, no one. 2, it's coming for you, it's gonna destroy you. Everyone run.
I felt pretty hard for this one.
Perfection.
I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human.
Yeah.
I think about this game a lot these days.
That's very true. Oh god, not this furniture.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Okay, we got a stage here. Got a bunch of stuff. I assume the game's gonna want us to go on stage. Let's just see for curiosity's sake if we can come up here. No? Okay. Something tells me we're supposed to go right in here. Oh, wow, that scared me. Alright, the performance is beginning. Places, please. Sure. In this scene, you will be playing as me. We are a gathering of professionals. First, you'll start out leaning against this wall. Okay. Good, stay right there. The woman across the room in this chair is a professional photographer of animals. It's your dream to photograph animals professionally. This is your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something, succeed. Go on, say something. Let's just say hi. Hello. That's it? That's not conversation. Well, I feel like it's a good way to start. You need to actually converse with her, be a human being, do it again. Okay, so 1, I'm super scared right now. 2, I like you. Or 3, here are all my hopes and dreams. Alrighty, so not the best way to start a conversation when you just meet someone, but what's like the best one? Let's go with I like you. Let's just go right for it, you know? No, that's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's what you need to feel better feeling of the setting. There were a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These are cones that bounce when you touch them and represent people nearby. Now talk to her again. So what do the people have to do with it? Let's see, it actually bounce. Oh nice, okay, cool. You must work really hard to get where you are. 2, I bet you've learned to lean into the pain? Okay, and 3, what are some sacrifices that you've made? Let's see, I bet you've worked very hard. You're messing it all up again. You'll freak her out if the conversation gets that personal that quickly. Do you realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this again. Everything was riding on this. I want to try something. Try stepping back from the stage. Is that it, I guess? Wow, okay. It is completely silent. Wow. Jeez. Okay, yes, this is working.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer.
Yeah, if I was
But
a
what
friend-
can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
Just to share my thoughts on the other game. Sorry, Mobius Strip. To play this properly, you need to have your eyes closed. Click to begin. Alright, give me a second. Just to share my thoughts quickly on the other game. Yeah, I mean, personally, if I saw a friend that was clearly, you know, making this game and sharing it, and he was almost like the narrator was saying, locking himself away. But then again, interesting point that the narrator brought up earlier was there was only one game that Coda went out of his way to show to the narrator, to like tell him, oh, come here and play this game. So that previous game might not have been a cry for help in any sense. It might have been just a reflection of how he was feeling at the time. Not necessarily that he wants to shut himself away. Alright, I have my eyes open, by the way. So I'm not actually going to follow it. Something enormous has just appeared on radar. I can't die like this. You can't die like this. I'll go help. I'm blind. We go into crash. There's a giant door. My vision went black. Please, someone talk to me. Am I going to be killed by this giant door? Can't see anything.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
Oh, there is. Okay. I'll go this way. Okay. True. The only way to stop it is speak something that is honest. I can't keep making this guy worse. Oh. Alright, let's go. Speedrun time. Gotta make sure we have time. The only way to stop it is speak something honest. Bruising my creative energy. I can't keep making these. My work is always fun. Bruising my... No, that isn't truthful. Can I try again? No? Do we have to crash? Yeah, I guess we do. Alright, let's try that again. Speak something honest. Can't keep making these, maybe? Oh. That's it, that's the truth.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
Well, I think it's the exact opposite. This could be a perfect outlet for someone that, you know, is feeling these things. The best way to do it is to continue creating and make a game about it. I don't know if I agree with this interpretation, but let's keep finding out. Let's do I'm out of ideas. Keep going, keep talking. I haven't been honest. You're doing it. It's working. I'm alone. I'm stuck in it. I have to work harder. I'm alone. You're going to be okay.
His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Hello, where am I? What is this? Let's try hello. Oh. Oh, nice. This one's a bit more peaceful. Where did this island come from? How do I get here? Hello, is there anyone there? Is there anyone there? Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I've talked to anyone. What's wrong? You look lost. I'm completely out of ideas. When I try to create, I feel empty, or I have nothing left to give to my work. So I'm out of ideas. Oh no. What's happened? Did something change? There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start it again. Wait, you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. It's good. What? You have to take me to it. I need to see it to know why it stopped.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
Let's do deal. Again, I don't know if I agree with this interpretation, honestly. Like, I think as a person, he could just be using it as a reflection of his thoughts, you know? This is how he becomes more creative, is writing it down. There's plenty of people that do that, and this is how he talks to himself, how he deals with these emotions. I don't necessarily think it's him being desperate.
Because from my perspective at the time, and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Again, everyone has their own interpretation. Oh, wonderful. Can you tell me how to do it? First, you gotta open it. There you go. And now, so you have to close the first door, open the first door, press the switch on the inside. Now close the first door. There we go. Now just press the switch here. Yeah. Perfect.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
I'm completely out of ideas. Hello, deal. I'm trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start it again. Okay, here we are. What are you talking about? Trust me, you'll see. You have to say that your work is fun and easy. You have to say the game development is simple and joyous and you love it 100% of the time. I'd say, okay, making games is easy. Oh wow. Ah, that feels wonderful. But it wasn't true. This music is very unsettling. Don't worry about it, just keep talking, just keep saying creation is easy. person's trying to talk themselves out of it. Yeah. I don't remember having to go through any puzzle. I'm just trying to read for a little bit. Let's say when I make games, I feel completely energized. Keep going.
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering.
It's a simple solution.
This is someone I really cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me.
None of this is helping. I'm going to vomit. Please, where is the machine? Please, where is the machine? Patience, you have to trust me. I promise this will work. Please continue. Pain breezes effortlessly at me. Any sacrifices made for my work are 100% worth the time. It always pays off eventually.
I don't know. This is what I felt at the time.
There's no shame.
I don't know how else to explain it.
I'll be safe.
I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I would understand. You almost look like this friend is torturing himself. But then again, you're not him. I feel like that's almost selfish in a way. It's like your own righteous virtue. You want to help this friend, but you don't know exactly what this person is going through. You're just playing their game. Incredible, that's it. I'm free. I'm free. Oh, I was crying.
But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
You can definitely see the spiral this man is going down. Guard. Yeah, I'm glad to see you arrived safely. I've captured the machine. It's waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you like. I tend to be brutal. Very good. Just be warned, someone called the press, so you might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing you should know about the machine. It calls itself Coda. Well, there you go. Oh, wow. Okay. What will you do with it? How did you get damaged your machine? Please give us answers. How can you tell us? Machine is answer what it's done.
And of course, it's the machine.
You stop feeding us. Your work is keeping us alive. Your work is keeping us healthy. Your work is keeping us healthy. Those people out there, can you imagine what pain you put them through, too? It's only because your creations that any of us can make it through every day. How could you possibly go back to trusting you to do this job? How could we possibly go back? Let's go one. So there's here's what needs to happen. You need to go about and apologize to them. 2, you have to admit the people that allowed them to suffer. 3, I've been so alone. I've been so alone. Apologize for leaving me. No, nothing. Be careful. I know how to hurt you. Wow. That's wild. Again, this is a person talking to themselves, telling themselves they know how to hurt them. I have seen the thing you fear. Alrighty then. I apologize to people on your back. my friends. 1. It falls to me to deliver bad news. Or 2. I have a troubling revelation. Let's deliver bad news. 1. The machine will not apologize to us. Or 2. The machine refuses to admit that it deliberately hurt us. Let's do it. Refuses to apologize. 1. But this is not important. We are stronger than it thinks we are. Or 2. We'll find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let's do 1. Let's pay it retribution. Or let us show it that we are not failures. Follow me, we will destroy the machine. Follow me, we will destroy everything that the machine has created. It's just a machine. Maybe we can keep what it created. Oh no. Oh jeez. Oh no. Oh. Coda, I'll make sure your work dies here.
So
Coda,
now the work is
make sure
becoming
your work-
self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for it? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work?
Is there anywhere we can go? Oh, we're destroying everything. Oh, yeah. Oh. Oh, it's the
So I
door.
started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
Put down your weapon.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy, so beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. I And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
June 2011. The Tower. Yeah. Just to stop, pause, and reflect for a little bit. Yeah. It's definitely a very difficult situation to be in, to see your friend and a person close to you seemingly struggling. And of course, as a person, you can empathize with it. You want to help them as much as you can. But the unfortunate fact of the matter is sometimes your help can be more damaging than you ever would have hoped. And so you have to consider, am I helping them to help them? Or am I helping them to help make myself feel like a better person? So let's see what this last level has to hold, and maybe we can find answers to those questions.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, The Tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
Yeah, it definitely is. You know, considering the soundtrack and the huge open spaces, the great color palette, it does feel very cold. That's a good way of putting it. Wow.
This room actually has a maze in it.
Alrighty, hopefully we don't have to... Oh.
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible.
Oh,
And then
no.
every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the level, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Alrighty. Again, he's modifying the level. That's, it's almost like Coda knew you would change the level to get past. Yeah.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
Alrighty. How do I put it in? 1, 5. Oh shoot. Again, he's prescribing meaning to these games that were Coda might have not meant to put meaning in. So maybe he's putting his own thoughts and layering them over what Coda originally meant to have in the game. That's a common problem with art and literature as a whole is, you know, the artist or the author might have one meaning, but through your own personal biases and through your own personal interpretations of the work and how you interact with it, you might get something completely different out of it.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
He's almost falling into the same cycle Coda
Was I a
falling
failure
in.
for not understanding this game? I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't. I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left. And it felt somehow like I had failed.
Yeah.
Where did I screw up?
It's a hard question.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you.
Yeah. Dear Davey, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to speak to me anymore. It's almost like he knew. He knew Davey would go out of his way to break the game as much as possible, which is why he addressed it to Davey specifically. Because he knew that Davey would try to squeeze his own interpretation out of the game and try to see everything it has to offer, even though the player, a normal player, is not supposed to see this. So that's why this note is made for him.
I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... It felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
I wonder at times whether you think I'm making these games for you. That's exactly my point that I was thinking earlier, is this person is... These games for him are a blank canvas, and he's reflecting on his mental state at the time. Of course, you can empathize and understand with the perspective of a concerned friend, but ultimately it is not his place to step in and share work.
And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
You've so infected my personal space that it's possible I did begin to plant solutions in my work somewhere hidden between games. If there was an answer or meaning, would it make you any happier? Would you stop taking my games and showing them to people against my wishes, giving them something that is not yours to give, violating one boundary that keeps me safe? Wow, so in trying to help his friend, he ultimately made it a lot worse. Would you stop changing my games, stop adding lampposts to them? So it was him. Adding lampposts. Wow. Davey is so desperate to add meaning to these games that he would go out of his way to lie and to tell people, oh, well, the creator added this for his own mental sake, for his own mental comfort. But in reality, it was for his mental comfort, to make a purpose, somewhere where it didn't need to be.
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
Would you simply let them be what they are? When I'm around you, I feel physically ill. Wow. You desperately need something and I kind of give it to you. I literally do not have it. Struggling to come up with the new ideas is not making me depressed. Low points are just part of the process. Right, that's exactly right. The fact you think I'm frustrated or broken says more about you than about me. Wow. I realize that this doesn't make sense to you just yet, which is fine. You're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day it clicks and that you make a peace with this thing that you're wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
When you finally see what I'm talking about, don't say anything. No solution.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
Epilogue. Wow. His machine, as they say, it definitely brought him down the spiral that he was overlaying on Dakota. He was trying to find some sort of self-gratification.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
Say anything? No. Ah, here we go.
Solution. I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Yeah, exactly. That's the extreme danger of, you know, taking the work of somebody and extrapolating it to identify what they're going through. It's just so difficult. You cannot draw those kind of conclusions.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Wow, this is heavy stuff. Again, it's not necessarily he's a shitty person, I think. Honestly, most people in this situation would do the same exact thing. Because the unfortunate fact of the matter is, a lot of people...
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
Verbatim what I was about to say. People search for that external validation, whether it's in a source of trying to help others around them, or, you know, finding problems that may not even be there. Searching so desperately to justify themselves
What
as
now?
good people.
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Yeah, he has some soul searching to do. But I do believe that it's situations like this that ultimately do drive us to be other people. Better people, I mean. Unfortunately, you know, some people get hurt, but situations like this that you put yourself in hoping for that you're helping, but in reality you're not. And the only way to learn is to take away from that situation, to try your best never to do it again. To remove yourself, to remove that ego aspect of, oh, I want to help this person. But in reality, you just want to make yourself feel good. That's a very human condition. You know, there's always a tension between how good you want to make yourself feel in reality versus how much you're helping other people. The real reason why you're helping other people. It's very difficult. It's a hard question. Someone that everyone needs to ask themselves. Why am I helping this person? Is it for me or for him? How much am I really helping this person by putting their work out there? Or by calling them out online or something? There's so many aspects with it nowadays, especially with social media and the ease of sharing information. One thing that you share that might think you're helping some other person by sharing that might be the complete opposite. It might be a detriment. So, being very careful about what you say to people. And again, it proves that the best way to get to know somebody is talking to them. And here's our reactor again that we witnessed in the beginning of the game. And the only option we have is to jump in. Very pretty music too.
Turn back from this cave. You said, let me prove that I'm brave. Let me keep going. But the cave goes for miles and miles and miles.
Turn back.
And you're so tired, but I know that you're strong. So turn back, turn back.
Whew. And there it is, folks. The Beginner's Guide. Quite interesting experience, you know, of a friend who tried their help, but ultimately it revealed a lot more about his insecurities. You know, it's a hard spot. You know, people try their best to help others, but ultimately end up hurting the other person more. This game definitely very thought-provoking. I'm going to be thinking about it a lot tonight. More of the symbolism behind it. Again, this game came out in 2015. Has great reviews on Steam. For anyone who wants to experience it yourself, again, the audio, design, and playing the game yourself is just its own experience. I definitely recommend it. It's only $10 on Steam. I hope I gave you guys something to think about tonight. I hope I gave you guys a good experience playing through this game. If I didn't, let me know in the comments. If I did, leave a like, subscribe. I'm going to leave you guys with plenty to think about after this playthrough, but I'm not going to dwell on it too long. I'll let you guys draw your own conclusions about it. And yeah, again, I hope you guys enjoyed this playthrough with me. I hope it was relaxing, helped you guys introspect a little bit. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and I really hope to see you next time. Thank you so much, and have a good night.